the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
For over the weekends, the sudden news about Ebeto Abonten, Ewo Omai Ghana Muha. Na Nina so every Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, a spokesperson to the president and minister government communications, or the Abonten can say Vice President Her Excellency Naana received treatment at University of Ghana Medical Center. It was a Saturday here to say due to some sudden illness be a cause. Now, in fact, Mills-Alfred Thompson and so Nsem-Pii to a sa communicate about team. And what I say, sa communicate no a come out say in a touchman. As it stands now from Saturday up to date and a Monday. Senka ebetimia kono de wo ka say adekodi mama me kopi mu University of Ghana Medical Center ho a wo ko receive treatment empo doctors yasa aba monte aba ka say e wo say ye signed ne ko amanone for further treatment no o say e wo say komo disclose e de kire on my Ghana because in 2012 the same thing anachese e course ene ye bo sa di pakuri din asem no kase onka atesefon asase so bi mu eno late Professor Evans Fifi Atta Mills onyame emfa ne kra nsie say ono so yare bi se ye na eba ya kese o my Ghana ye hu adekode if it's prekwa pe ehu ya ne say opanyi kesi wako amanone for treatment ankosi aga obeduru ha na anche 3 days after his birthday ana opanyi free atasefo asase so eno Mills-Alfred Thompson say and this ameje ku ye ma we ento so second and was said this time around omo disclose the main cause of illness Professor Naana Ekoko PMO University of Ghana Medical Center doctors and poor report say fan call amanone for further treatment. In fact, opinion can na wame who say yes John Dramani Mahama come out say no be do obi achi a say nipa kro possibility say on tenase no high so ono so obi be di na chi a possibility say nipa kro no tenase no so high. It has happened one and the second year ma we enter so third yentie Nsem-Pii for the atuja.
Once they've touched on the vice president situation, I pray for her speedy recovery, but I'm just worried about the scanty information given, because if you just write that something happened on Friday, Ghanaians need to know what happened on Friday and why she was rushed to the hospital. Something happened on Friday and she was rushed to the hospital. After going through the normal treatments to maybe stabilize her or whatever it is, then they said that she needs further treatment outside, especially where they came on the premise that they don't see why government officials should go outside for treatment. And it means it's a critical situation. So we need to know what the problem really is. Are you saying they came on the premise that no government official should seek treatment outside? Have you forgotten what Okujetu said? And even the president himself. Okay. So he doesn't see why people should go outside for treatment, especially at that time where in 2017, where Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had to go outside for treatment. Right. That's the thing that they started saying all across. So in a situation like this, if you are preaching that, we expect you to do that. So if it doesn't happen, and it means the situation is critical, let Ghanaians know what the situation is, because we can't. This is a medical issue, and this is the vice president of the country. You cannot put the private not telling you, not health private. Matters of the vice president. Once you put yourself for a political office, everything about you is no longer private. That is what you have to get straight. Once you put yourself as a political lead, nothing about you. Alfred, hold on for me for a second. Wanda, you were want to say something. Must we play politics with everything? It gets embarrassing sometimes. This is the health of the vice president. She has a right to her privacy. Excuse me. Please, let's be decorous in the way we analyze some of these issues. The fact that it happened in the past, if you invested in the health sector from 2017 to today, will we be talking about this? You sat aloof, went on the frolic of your own. 111 hospitals you promised to build. How many did you commission when you were leaving your office? Please. I want us to be decorous in some of these our deliberations. All right, so let's move on from this quickly before come back and finish my. When we get into the stories, politics with it. I am telling you as a matter of fact. And we came on the premise that when you hold public office, you need to let the people know what the situation is. If there is a situation, we need to know. They did the same thing some time back. And it costs the nation.
Are you requesting? Are you hold on? Yes, let me. Let's hear this.
Don't play politics with the day he went into 111.
Are you saying that because they done it in the past, you said that they requested that?
I said that they said he shouldn't go out of the country for
this is what I think. This is what I think. Right? Hold on.
Stop this. Do very well and understand it, please. I'm not saying that.
Hold on a second.
Travel, but when we are traveling, let us know what the situation is.
So that's your point.
Yes.
And I'm saying that it's okay. You've made your point, and I'm saying that I'm tempted to agree with Wanda because this is health. These are health issues. You can't necessarily say because you're the vice president, you should let us know every detail about your medical issues.
It was for nothing. That's
Amanda.
Yes, I mean, I think with the communique that was issued by the presidency, it was clear that it is the beginning of what they are saying. And they are waiting for further updates, perhaps abroad, in order to do it. And furthermore, I will say this on a personal note. I have known people, for instance, who have left the country, even for like eye conditions. They can get a certain standard of eye care here, but the difference between, for instance, going blind or not, they had to leave the country in order to do so. So we are not going to play politics with, for instance, things like that. And there was nobody that was able to handle that eye care situation in this country, and they got speedy treatment abroad. Therefore, it is not an academic discussion of, because the communique has been issued that medical treatment should be sought inside. The best treatment was sought in Ghana, and even the medicals recommended outside treatment for whatever it is. So let us give them some respect to come back to us as they indicated in the communique.
Right. And I just want to add that in as much as we may want to rid ourselves of the influence of the Western world, you cannot debate the fact that they are more advanced in terms of healthcare and infrastructure to provide a certain level of standard than we are. Africa is still playing catch up. And so if you're saying that they said we shouldn't go outside, government officials shouldn't go outside to seek medical attention or medical care, then it means that we should start resourcing the facilities we have here so that when it happens, we don't have to go out. But 3 months in office and recruiting, I'm saying that,
we need to let Ghanaians know.
Yes, but I'm also saying that, truthfully, what good does it do to you if you know the details? You've been told that she's seeking medical care. Obviously, there's something wrong. But what good does it do to the citizenry if we know what good does it really do us?
It's at least it alleviates
wow.
What can you do about it?
Okay, so let's go on to myjoyonline.com.
Especially when we've seen some before.
Right.
Look, why should any public officer, politician or senior public officer be allowed to travel out to go and seek healthcare? Do they disrespect those of us who are the medically qualified professionals in this country? Do they disrespect us? If you look at the budget for external medical treatment, why are we not prepared to make sure that there are MRIs in every region, that there are CT scans? Whether you like it or not, health is expensive. And when they go out, they pay through their nose or through their nostrils. So why can't we develop here? Why? If the president is not well and is admitted to UGMC or Kolebu Teaching Hospital, what will happen? There are no competent doctors to look after them? There are. So these are some of the things. And I believe sincerely, if you are appointed as a politician and your children don't go to school in this country, His Excellency the President should ask questions. You want to put a policy on education and your children don't go to school here? No. Why should that be? Everybody's child is outside. And yet, somehow, those of us, our children should be here. I brought my children from the UK. I didn't keep them there. I brought them here to go to school here. They came here, they went to the tail end of primary school, they went to secondary school here, they went to university here. What is wrong with that? And today, I believe that wherever they are, they can conquer the world. So if you are somebody who's been put in a political class and a political position, and your children don't go to school, you don't attend healthcare here, I don't believe that you deserve to lead the people.
I've heard various descriptions of this ECG saga. Some have referred to it as inefficiency. Others have suggested it's mismanagement. I think those descriptions are understatements. And that what we are looking at, or what is staring us in the face, is clear organized criminal activity. For now, based on the report that you have cited, the technical committee's report from the ministry, there is no citation or evidence of external actors being involved. But nevertheless, within the country, it is an organized criminal activity. And if we go back decades to the era of General Champon, this is clearly economic sabotage by a few individuals, and unfortunately, by institutions the state has set up to promote the well-being of the state, i.e., the state's national security. From what you've read, I'll come back to the itemized national security issues, but we're all in this country. We know the periodic power outages and the explanations that the ECG and other experts give, some because of aging equipment, resulting in transmission losses. If I'm not mistaken, maybe 30% of the power generated during distribution is lost. Because those cables and those other materials that we find on our pylons age with time. Every day when the African sun rises, they expand. In the evening, in the night, when the temperature cools down, they contract. And if any one of us has done basic science, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, over a period of time will result in degradation.
Right.
Which is why ECG, being the managers of power distribution, need to import material to replace the aging material. And that is where the problem starts. That by diverting this equipment, by the way, we are not talking about containers. I think that is also another misperception, that everywhere you read containers, they are not containers. They are not empty containers. They are containers filled with ECG equipment, either cables, either meters, or transformers, and probably more items. So those are things that are being diverted, not the metal containers.
Okay, and Kenna, we'll get incisive with the issues, but you said there's an organized criminal network. I'm curious to know where, within the ECG or at the port operations? Where is this criminal network?
Let me go through the list that I have, based on the report that all of us are citing, the technical committee's report. First of all, are the CEOs or the managing directors of ECG. And in that report, two of them have been mentioned. The immediate past MD, Dubik Mahama, then my own relation from Asante Achimjo, Kwame Ajimambudu, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Dubik was the one who in 2022 came and stopped the practice of weekly payments of 5 million cedis to the Finance Committee's account to enable ECG to clear the containers or the equipment at the harbor. He stopped it. Kwame Ajimambudu is cited as also having authorized questionable procurements. Now, you probably forcing me to go into the plot, but the outgone MPP government, whose Ministry of Finance and its Minister of Finance have also been mentioned in the report. First of all, the government provided inaccurate container figures in the transition report. The MPP government said there were 3,000. Well, we know that when they went to the harbor, there weren't 3,000 containers or equipment. There were far less, which have been mentioned in the report. Then number 4, you have the Director of Procurement, Premises and Estates. Now, who is the one who actually does the procurement? Now, who cites orders from above? A certain influencer. Obviously, this influencer, the number 5 of the conspiratorial gang, must be a politically connected person, if not a minister or if not somebody influential in the MPP administration. I've mentioned the Minister of Finance. Then you have the unnamed official, I've mentioned that, unnamed influential figures and so on. Now, all of these capabilities are what caused the ECG to pay the demurrage of about almost a billion. I would prefer to call it a billion, just 100,000 or 91,000 cedi share. Then we know that the containers were supposed to be at a port, a customs port, not a free port. Now, to get these containers out, you need to follow procedures. So now, the Big Mahama unilaterally decides that 2 clearing agents, at least one of whom is not even registered with the customs as a clearing agent or customs house agent, to clear those goods. And on top of that, they awarded contracts. Now, one of them, what's his name? Mink, logistics, clears 47 containers, delivers only 1 container full of equipment to ECG, diverts the remaining 46 containers. Then you have Dawards, for instance. Or is it Dawards Bond Limited?
Yeah, Dawards.
47 containers and then diverted 46 and sent 1 to ECG. Gapoha has got questions to answer, as I've said. And that is the 12th entity. Then you have GRA, at least a customs division of GRA, which also has questions to answer. But above all of this, I am an ardent believer that the entity that we call national security ought to know almost everything that happens in this country. And when we're talking about the scale of this ECG saga, criminal network, if national security says that it didn't know, then the country is doomed. Mm-hmm. So I want to believe that national security was aware of what was going on, the procurement, malfeasance, and everything. But then because it has been politicized or captured by the political authority, turned a blind eye. Now, this is what constitutes the criminal network. It is not mismanagement. It is not inefficiency. It was a very well-oiled, criminal group deciding to rob the country of billions. There's only one report that is being cited. Who knows what might have gone on over the past 8 years or before 2019, for instance. That is how we want to look at it. And indeed, if you look at it as an organized criminal network, then you begin to wonder why people are even still out, even in their houses. But all of these elements mentioned in the report should have been minimum invited by national security or any of the security agencies to answer questions.
Right. Colonel, I know that the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, the Customs Division of the GRA, and in fact, ECG's own security teams all play a role in overseeing cargo movement. And you're saying that this is a criminal cabal of assaults, right? How is it that they're able to hide from all these security agencies and actually perpetrate a crime like this? How is it possible that GAPOA, Customs Division of GRA, ECG's own security, are unable to see something and say something to the point where we are here now?
That is what I'm trying to explain, that when the Director of Procurement, Premises and Estates, that he over-procured based on orders from above, you can only go to the presidency, Jubilee House. That is the highest authority in the land. But even if not at the presidency, between the presidency and the ministry, somewhere within the political party architecture, there was a very influential person who was able to determine that, look, every week, whether you need the material or not, you keep importing. And then this manager comes, the MD, and indeed, I cannot understand that the MD acted the way he did without political influence. To say that from 2022, there will be no more transfers of 5 million cedis to the finance department for the purposes of clearing the containers at the harbor, allows the containers to pile up, which is the term that is used in the report, and then unilaterally decides that he has appointed 2 logistics companies to do the clearance. By the way, the report also indicates that at some stage, ECG was importing over 700% of what it needed. But when Mahama Dubi came to the scene, ECG was importing about 800, 900,000 million worth of goods. This went up to close to, is it 900 million or 800 million, for instance? Yeah. And we all know that ECG was not maintaining the infrastructure. It ended up diverting these materials to companies now to melt and then process into ingots or whatever and re-export at a time when our infrastructure has deteriorated and creating constant, let me call it doomsday, power outages. I mean, this is criminal.
Right.
This sabotage, as I started by saying, if we were in the days of a champon, and somebody called me this morning from Addis Ababa and said, look, let me give you my 2 cents before you appear on this Joy show, that people were killed during a champions era for far less than these amounts that we are talking about. And the businesses that are going down and under because there's no power to sustain production, the individuals, the health facilities who need power in order to deliver health.
Yeah.
It's a whole range of very serious issues.
Right. Colonel, please, let's pause here.
Ghanaians? Is it, let's leave the Chinese. Why Ghanaians, influentially placed, should undermine the state to this level? It's something that behoves, baffles anybody.
Right.
And I'm challenging those who stand on the high ground and say that Ghana doesn't want coups. And when these things happen, which are symptoms of serious malaise with the way we run the country, they are all quiet.
Okay, Colonel, we have to pause here. Let me admit Mr. Collins Sadomako-Mensah. He's former Deputy Minister for Energy, and he joins us on phone. Sir, thank you for joining the conversation.
Good morning.
I have a very simple question, really. How did we get here?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I'm not too sure if I'm well placed to
well, you are former Minister of Energy, and this is an issue that sits right in that sector. And
first of all, I don't want you to go that line. This is a criminal matter. I want us to look at it from that perspective.